Alright, it seems the boss is dead. We're just gonna go ahead and distribute the loot here.
I'm hoping for some teeth.
There's no loot. I repeat, there is no loot.
Yeah. Want some loot?
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna have to wait till next week. No loot. 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 No loot Sundays.
Alright, what's up everybody? It's No Loot Sundays. I'm your host, Brayole, along with my co-host, Mr. Fey. Say hi to the lovely people, Fey.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh,
How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight, Fey?
I'm waking up. It's been a long weekend.
Waking up on a Sunday night. It's good stuff. So, I know last week, I believe I said something about, like, we're going to talk about PvP next week with our boy Strimple and everything like that. But we decided to do as Blizzard does and just kind of put PvP on the back burner for another week and see what we could say about Antorus. Next week, we will very likely have Strimple on and we will be talking about PvP. But this week, we are going to discuss Antorus. And it's going to be a good discussion because I am actually pretty hyped for this raid after what I've been able to find on boss fights. What we're looking at here is, what do we got, like 11 bosses or something like that? 12? We got 1, 2,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bosses. So, much like Nighthold, we've got ourselves 11 bosses, starting off with Garathi the Warbreaker. He is a big boy. This looks like your typical, what was the guy from Blackrock Foundry? The Golem Egg or something like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
They were huge on those fights where it's like you have just the upper body and then a ledge before in Warlords of Draenor, so I'm not too shocked to see the return of
Well,
that.
yeah, and I mean, even with Tomb, you had Avatar, which was very much the frozen-in-place boss,
true.
and you do mechanics around it, at least for the first half, so...
Yeah, and thinking about it, we had Croesus and Nighthold.
Yep.
So I guess
They do like the stationary bosses, at least one per raid, it seems.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Well, I'll be damned. Looks like nothing changes. All right. This guy, I don't think he's going to be dropping anything too special outside of just some off-the-cuff relics. You got one for each spec, it looks like, going on with him, which is cool. But the second boss is definitely more exciting to me. I've seen the strat video for this one, and it looks like it's going to be a fight that doesn't actually have a tank swap, which is really nice if you're the tanks. And I kind of like that, but the rest of the raid has to do a lot of managing. I think the fun thing about this boss is they drop a Antor and Charhound mount.
Oh, yeah, the mount. It's
But
interesting. I assume it's going to look like the boss, or similar in it.
Yes.
So,
yes.
it's going to be a another mount that you'll never see.
Here's my thing: is there's from what I understand, I think it's difficulty dependent, where one difficulty drops the shadow version and one difficulty drops the fire version, if I remember right. But I'm not really sure about that. I'm trying to see if there's a way I can see from just the UI window, and then there's not. It just says Antor and Charhound.
You can't really get a preview.
I wonder if
it doesn't really change, but yeah, this boss does have some interesting trinkets as well that are related to him. You've got the Eye of Faharg,
yeah,
and the Eye of Chateau, and you both have a transform into it for 30 seconds. But they're like, one is a tank one, obviously. It grants 427 additional armor to a nearby tank for the heroic version. Specialized who's using the other one, so it's one of those things where there are two tanking trinkets, and you want one tank to have one and one to have the other, I guess.
Yeah. That seems like it'll be a really interesting trinket to play with. To correct myself from what I said earlier about the Antoran Charhound. The red one drops off the boss, and the Gloomhound, which is the shadow one, that comes from the Glory to the Argus Raider achievement. So that's how
All
you
right.
get the Gloomhound, which is definitely the cooler of the two, in my opinion. But both in color and in style.
Well, at least it's a guaranteed drop when you complete the achievement versus having to farm.
Farm it. 2 expansions later, having to farm it unless the power creep's insane in Battle for Azeroth, who knows? After that fight with the Fellhounds of Sargeras, we move into the Antoran High Command. This fight's actually pretty interesting from what I can tell because of the way you have to manage the, I believe it's the 3 bosses you're up against. You have 3 different bosses you go up against. You have to go Admiral Virax, Chief Engineer Ishgar. I feel like we fought Ishgar before in Blackrock Foundry. Am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of no, you're thinking of the
bird guy.
because this is a Draenei though, or
Yeah, he is.
Draenei,
He's an Eridar.
or Minari, I guess. So
Yeah,
it's not the
Minari.
same, but similar name. I'm sure there's some hyphens or some different spelling.
Now I have to look it up. Correct myself.
yeah.
We got trinkets to talk about off this guy by chance. That's not looking like it.
I mean, this is going to be the boss for the back tier pace. So it's going to be the one. At least the first week, you'll want to have your bonus rolls ready for this boss.
Oh, for sure.
Get those. This one is looks like a healing trinket, if I'm not wrong. I don't know if it only drops for healing spec or if it's going to be. Let me check. Yeah, it seems to be only a healing spec trinket, but you've got Ishgar's Fell Shield Emitter, which lets you place a 1.5 million absorb shield on an ally for 9 seconds. And then when the shield is consumed or it expires, it explodes, dealing half the absorbed damage as fire amongst all enemies. So it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to guess that it's going to be macro to target tank when you click it and use on tank every time. And that way you're going to get the guaranteed, what is that? 750,000 damage every minute, I guess, since it's a minute cooldown. So
Yeah,
that one's going to be. And then you've got a DPS trinket. Looks like a ranged DPS trinket for another on-use trinket, the Terminus Signaling Beacon. It's Mastery as the stat on it. And this one just calls down Legion ship to bombard location, dealing 300,000 fire damage over in 12 yards. So that one's got a short cooldown, but it doesn't. I guess it's a minute and a half cooldown, but it doesn't seem anything special compared to some of the other trinkets that are coming in Antorus.
Yeah. As far as the Terminus Signaling Beacon goes, I think that would be cool if it had like a graphic for like the Legion ship ports in above you and you can see it and everything, and then like it fires down and then it like flies out of where you're at through another portal or something. Like that would be a really cool graphic, but there's no way that it's gonna be that complex.
As long as it seems like it'll be okay with like a huge number of ads, because I don't see a cap on damage, so it's doing 300,000 every one. But
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem as good as some of the other ones we've already seen in previous tiers, even.
It seems like there's a really big ad fight in this. The next boss actually is a big ad fight, and I feel like having the Terminus Signaling Beacon would be really fun for just like being like, yeah, I'm just gonna top damage because I can go ahead and every minute and a half call in and make everybody in the room take about 400,000 fire damage. Fuck y'all. Like, that's cheap as shit, but it's also like worthless single target. Completely worthless single target. But, yeah, moving on to the next boss, though, we've got Portal Keeper Hazabel, and this fight's really, really neat. So this fight actually encompasses, if I remember right, this is the fight that will encompass what was the mechanic of Intermission 2 of Kill Jaden, where we're all in the dark. and that's going to be a part of this fight in a different way. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be working, if it's going to be like a transmission thing, or if it's going to be like we're in the middle of the boss fight and she makes the room go dark, or what. But I know a big mechanic of this is having to use portals to go from various platforms to various platforms, going from shadow platforms and from fire platforms and stuff. And I know at one point there's even, at least on heroic difficulty, it looks like there's going to be an item that we have to transition from platform to platform to platform to be able to kill the boss. So that'll be a really interesting mechanic to deal with, something a little more outside the scope of just soaking things, which will be really fun.
It also seems cool as well as the just the fact that you've got the Nexus and then 3 additional platforms is my understanding of it.
Yes.
And then the fact that you can't just all go through and go to a platform because of the that main ability, at least on I think it's on all difficulties, but catastrophic implosion, where it just will go off if no one's there. So I don't know if that's going to be you leave the tank there, or you split your group up into like 2 teams. And one team goes to the portal and the rest stay on the platform.
That's going to be an interesting decision to have to make at raid time. Figure out how that works. From what I can understand, this is going to be your big group splitting fight like you had in Desolate Host. Where you had to segment your group in half, or cut your group in half and make sure that you have the right people in the right phases of that fight. And I think that there's going to be parts of this fight where you have to do that. My thing is it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work out with having to go back through the portals here and there. And it's going to be interesting to see how much your group gets broken up, how much, there's two ways I see this fight. You've either got this fight being more like Desolate Host, where you have to keep people segregated, essentially, keep them cut apart, or you have this fight more like Demonic Inquisition, where you can randomly send people into different areas as long as you're not sending too many. So that'll be really interesting to see.
I'm curious to see how it's going to work out with that, especially if it's going to be something. There's nothing in there that indicates that it's going to be a debuff that requires you to go, but who knows?
Yeah,
they still can do some tweaking.
Yeah.
As far as loot or trinkets for this boss, they don't drop any tier on this boss, but there is both a tanking trinket that has crit on it and a healing trinket with the intellect. The healing one is open up portal to an ally's location, releases brilliant light, restoring a little bit less than 1 million health between all injured allies in 20 yards. So an AoE healing trinket seems pretty good if you like on-use trinkets. The tanking one, I don't know much of how I feel about this. Have you seen it, Bray?
I don't think I have.
It's taking damage has a chance to open a portal to another world, either healing you, providing an absorption shield, or empowering you with shadow flame magic. So I'm assuming that makes everything you do deal more damage.
That would be a fun trinket.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be interesting. You'll have to have something to keep track of what you've got on you. Unless you've got just a simple rotation. I am a fan of, at least tanking, having at least one on-use trinket just for another mitigation button. So, I think my druid's right now just running the Ornamental Pearl, which I can't remember where that comes from. But, yeah, it's just a decent shield.
Pretty sure that's Majara. I could be wrong. Or
I think so.
That might be Harjatan. I don't know. But, I'm messing with the way things look. Hang on. There we go. One of the... my bad, everybody. One of the things... I'm with you with the on-use. The legendary for most tanks... I think all tanks, actually, that they get Archimon's Burning Hatred, where you get to basically just put up a shield for, I think it's 25% of your health or 30% of your health or something like that. And then once that shield's down, it deals that much damage to who you're fighting. Like, I loved that trinket. I really enjoyed having that that huge mitigation on a very low cooldown was really nice. But, when it comes down to it, there's way better legendaries, which sucks because, I really enjoyed that trinket. But luckily they did put in trinkets that are very similar to that, where you
I think the only other trinkets that's I mean, there's a lot of ones that are like shield, like the Nightwell essence from I believe that's
Arcway.
Arcway.
I love that
That
trinket.
one is fantastic.
Yeah.
And now, just because, especially if you are I mean, some tanks are a little bit less beneficial, but as long as you're the one currently actively tanking, you can use that shield, and it's pretty amazing. What about what is it? Aeonir? The
Aeonir the Lifebinder, that's it. Yeah, so this is a Titan that we're going to be fighting, the first of many. And basically what I understand about this fight is that she's in the process of being corrupted by Sargeras. And this will not be where we first see Sargeras in the raid, but that we will see his underlings trying to corrupt her soul. And it's my understanding that this fight works more like an ad fight than it does a boss fight. But this is one I haven't been able to find footage of yet. I may not have looked that hard for it because I kind of forgot about her. But it's we're gonna be freeing her along with several Titan souls, and it seems like this fight's gonna be having a few one-shot mechanics in it. We're gonna be looking at what looks to be an ad fight that's kind of overseen by a boss, where we're killing off all these ads, some of them fixate, some of them, cast some random shit we need to interrupt, and then she will be putting pools of shit on the ground and throwing fire at us because that's her corrupted side coming out. And in the end, everybody gets to go home happy whenever they get their gear.
Yeah, so we don't actually have to fight the Titan itself, which is what's interesting to me. We're more... I thought it seems like we're fighting, trying to keep her alive.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Is that we're
trying
to keep her alive.
Again, similar to, I'm guessing it's going to be similar to like fights like Scorporion and Fallen Avatar, where you've got what you'll be watching is her energy bar, because when she hits full energy, she releases a shockwave that damages all ads. And the ship that's attacking her, that's launching because I think it's one of the Legion ships that's actually like sending waves and waves of enemies against her, and that's where all the abilities come from.
You know what this makes me think of is, and it's not going to be much like this fight from what I can tell, but the dragon in Ice Crown Citadel.
Yeah, Ice Crown Citadel.
That you had to heal up, and that was the boss fight, which is a very interesting idea.
Based on this, it doesn't look like she'll be directly healable.
Right.
It would be very cool if she was, but I think that this is going to be more like a holdout type fight.
Yeah,
kind of like the opening of Hellfire Citadel, where you're just it's a marathon, kind of.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
This is probably going to be one of the longer fights because it looks like it's not. You can't just do more damage, so it's just going to be you got to last it out.
I get the feeling that this will be the one that everybody hates to do because it feels like a waste of time. Which makes me wonder, Faye, did they attach Tyr to this one?
Yep.
Oh, great.
She does have the chest piece.
Oh, boy.
Which I know for me that will be probably one of the ones I'm going after, unfortunately.
Yeah,
there's also another healer trinket, again, on-use healer trinket. This one increases main stat. And so that one's actually redirects life force of an enemy to increase your main stat, so intellect. And it grants more based on how much health the target you have at. So if you use it on the boss at high health, you'll get a huge amount of intellect. I don't like the design of this trinket from a healing perspective, because on most fights, you're going to need the most of your healing is usually going to be squeezed into near the end of the fight when everything starts going sideways. And with a trinket like this, where you boosted all your healing because you boosted your main stat. Well, that's great, but you're not getting as much main stat because the boss is low health. It just seems like a backwards design to me.
Yeah.
I think low health would make more sense, but maybe that's intentional. That's really the only two things that I'm gonna look for on this boss. There's no other trinkets, and the rest of the gear is just spread out all slots. There are some. One thing I didn't mention on it, but looks like for all of the relics, and I'm using heroic as kind of the baseline for, because I think the majority of the people will eventually see heroic, especially with this being the last tier
Definitely
of the expansion. But yeah, the getting 945 base eye level for all these relics, which is 71 eye level. Can compare that to, I think, like the 915, which is the base of current heroic. At 62, you're getting 9 eye levels out of just base level stuff, and then plus the additional 5 from the Netherlight Crucible. Our weapons are going to get pretty close to 1,000, if not over it.
bonkers. Oh, I think they will definitely get over it easily by the end of this expansion. Just from heroic, people doing mythic are probably going to reach over 1,000 on the item level on a whole.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean, I've already got stuff that's at the 945 level from Mythic Plus, so it's just.
Jeez, that is crazy. Yeah, but moving on to the next boss, we got Imonar, the Soul Hunter. This guy is, this actually, like, I haven't seen footage of this boss either, and I think I've only seen a few other people, the footage for him so far. This guy, from what I can tell, has a pretty simple, but punishing mechanics, in the sense that he is going to be, you have something you have to interrupt, you have to prevent him from gathering power, and then he's going to put people in stasis traps like you saw with a few different bosses, but the ones that I can think of are the end of Siege of Orgrimmar, or not the end, I'm sorry, the third boss of Siege of Orgrimmar, fourth boss of Siege of Orgrimmar. I got this, guys, whose name I can't even think of because and even though I run that raid every fucking week. Yeah, so his stasis chambers, as well as stasis chambers like the boss that we have seen in Arcway.
Core Stillax.
Yeah, Core Stillax.
The one with the quarantine where you pretty much have to click on people.
Right.
You gotta stop hitting your buttons to do DPS and go help your healers.
And help your healers, that's right. And so basically what this is looking like, and then he's going to put Sleep Gas down, which is going to probably do a shitload of damage. Yeah. And it's basically what this is looking like is you're going to end up splitting your group into certain parties in the room.
Well, this is also a 3-phase fight, so not all these things go off in each phase. Some of them disappear, which is going to be nice.
That makes me think that this is going to be I don't know. I compare so much to Kill Jaden now that whenever I see like all of these different mechanics, I'm like, this is going to be a cakewalk, because if I have to, especially if I have to handle these separately, like, this will not be difficult at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of things about Tomb that I found to be very difficult whenever you got mechanics stacked on top of each other. And from what I can tell about this guy, Imonar, the Soul Hunter, it seems like he's not really going to stack up too much. This doesn't seem like it's going to be a crazy hard fight unless he is just putting out punishing damage that's unavoidable. But I can't figure out where that would be unless, well, the one thing about this guy that I've been able to make out through some of these different strats I'm looking at, just reading strats, is he's going to have a lot of different traps. So he's going to kind of play the role of Hunter a bit, where he has traps that he can hit you with, and some of them are going to be easy to see, and some of them are going to be very difficult to tell that they're there. And I'm really interested to see if this fight ends up incorporating like the Demon Hunter vision and flare from Hunters and stuff like that to try to make it so that you can kind of do a little bit of cheesiness with it and get around some of these mechanics. So that'll be really interesting to see.
I think a big one is anyone who's good at placing world markers down, marking traps with an X or whatever.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Because you'll see them land. I'm going to guess it's not going to be. They may be hard to see once they're on the ground, but if you see them falling from the sky and where it lands, so there are going to be some ways around it. It's interesting to me. It looks like, at least for phase 1. The tank swap seems to be like a single stack tank swap. Even if the tank can take more damage, the problem of it, if it hits you and you've got a stack, it deals 1.5 million nature damage every 3 seconds to some other player. Not saying it's another tank. So, you just killed a couple of your DPS because you took 2 stacks.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. So I guess that's not too much different compared to Ignore Pain being a single taunt, but it's interesting that this is not like that where it's an instant death sentence. It's like, oh no, you can take as many stacks as you want. It's just probably going to end up killing everyone else.
Yeah.
I like things like that where it's not like, oh no, we're gonna punish you immediately. No, we're gonna punish everyone but you. Make you feel bad for it.
What a dick move. Thanks,
This boss does have the leg tier piece
I need those
on
bad
it.
boys.
Yeah, for me that'll be probably a slot I'll take since I don't have a legendary in that slot.
Yeah.
Nothing else though. No trinkets really off this one.
Yeah, so this will be the guy that you still have to roll for until you get your legs, because Lord knows getting your legs, for some reason, just takes forever. I mean, it's always been like that. I've always had trouble getting the legs, personally.
It's mostly because everyone wants to skip leg day.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Everybody's trying to skip leg day.
All right, let's see. What the next guy is?
Kingoroth. Now, I know this guy probably has a fight designed around him and everything, but the first thing I want to talk about is how fucking cool this guy's model is. I am a huge fan.
He's again a very Croesus, only half his body.
But he looks like he might be able to move, so it looks like he's going to have a bunch of Fel Reavers that you have to attack an Annihilator, Decimator, Demolisher of the new model anyways, that you have to like attack throughout the fight. But this guy's a model. So just everybody out there listening to this podcast, just close your eyes and listen to me describe this model. The bottom of this model is a pool of Fel. That pool rises up into the body of a jailer. It's got a pack on the back. It's not a cage. It's a cylinder that has a green crystal in it. His head is the helm that you see on Argus that sticks out of the ground and fires lasers. And then his arms are the arms of the Moarg, only his claws made of crystals. He's super tight. He's so cool looking. I really like it, and I can't wait to see him in action.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if this is going to be a
standing still fight.
I guess he deploys one of those 3 because there are 3 different, I guess, Fel Reaver models. One of each color. You've got Fel Green, you've got Fire Red, and then you've got Arcane Purplish Blue.
Yeah.
And I guess what he does is he builds one of them and then you fight it in addition to him. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I have not seen any details on it. Just looking at how the abilities work.
It definitely
seems to be the case.
One of the unfortunate things about this fight is this fight has a lot of soaking mechanics on it. Like there's several things that it's like, make sure you clump to split the damage, clump to split the damage, clump to split the damage. It's like, it's just, come on.
Yeah, but I've been looking at least the current numbers attached to this. Like Reverberating Strike inflicts 1.5 million physical damage to everyone in 5-yard radius. So that one's not actually a stack.
Yeah, that's
but like you get the Shattering Strike
people or a tank.
Yeah, so I mean, some of them, like the numbers don't seem high enough to, like, you've got the Diabolic Bomb, which explodes. And that one, like which one are you thinking of? I don't actually see any stacking ones here, unless you're talking about on the Annihilators themselves.
I'm looking at Demolish. Looking at the. Oh, okay, for sure.
Okay, so yeah, you're talking about on
Annihilation.
on one of the on the Demolisher, the Annihilator, and the Decimator. Yes, they do. So, but I'm assuming those things are not, since they are ads of some sort. I believe we're going to have one up, kind of like a 3-phase or 4-phase fight.
Probably. Where
we attack him, he summons one of them, we kill it, get back on him, then he summons another, we kill it, get back on him. I kind of hope and that it's going to be something where there's like, this will be our DPS check fight. Like if you can't kill the ad quick enough and another one comes up before you kill the previous one, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
But even so, like with these 7.5 million damage, splitting the damage amongst players, that one's even not that hard because, I mean, we're getting to the point where that can be soaked by 4 people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my survival hunter right now, and he's got 5 million health. So, I mean, between and also with
on my
Pride
monk,
Eyes,
I've
so.
got like 6. So yeah, there's. I think they learned from Kill Jaden that you can't have these soaks that are just like, oh no one can take it, and you can't. So at least they're going back to the stack soaks, which I do. I don't mind that mechanic compared to the one shot and you have to soak it.
Yeah.
Mechanics.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little worn out on one-shot mechanics with Kill Jaden. Good lord.
Yeah. This guy drops the tier hand speed slot, so
Nice.
and that's not going to be for me. I'm ignoring that piece, but I'm sure some people will be taking it. He also has 3 possible trinkets. You've got a ranged int trinket for so spellcaster trinket. Your damaging spells increase your critical strike chance, and have a chance to increase your haste, mastery, or crit by 200. This is the again heroic version, 203 for 45 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. And another thing is, whenever it reaches 5 stacks, it's consumed, so it's random. So you could actually have like 4 stacks of haste, 3 of mastery, and then 2 of crit. But when any of them hits 5 stacks, all the stacks are consumed off you, and you gain 2,300 of all of the stats for 12 seconds. That is a interestingly designed trinket to me. It's going to be really dependent on your class and spec. If you've got a spec that has a decent balance where you want haste, mastery, and crit in roughly equal amounts, I think this is going to be a great trinket for you. The other one we've got is, let's see, this one looks like a melee DPS trinket. It is has mastery on it. Forge Fiend's Fabricator. Your ranged and melee attacks, so I guess it could be ranged as well. I missed that part. Your ranged and melee attacks have a chance to plant a fire mine at the enemy's feet. The mines automatically detonate after 15 seconds, dealing 61,000 fire damage to all enemies in 12 yards. Or you've got it on use with it that every 30 seconds you can hit it and detonate all currently out there mines. So you're going to again probably have to keep track of the buff here to see how many mines are out, but you'll be able to use this to, okay, let me do AoE damage to the ads that are up. Or you can just wait for them to detonate on their own. I think it's an interesting trinket in that regard, to where if you're one of those people who likes having the extra buttons, or you really like optimizing, then yeah, it seems good. Or at the same time, if you're not that great, it's still a decent trinket without the on use. The last one is a haste tank trinket.
Yay!
This one is again on use. Reduce the damage of the next 10 melee attacks against you by up to 1.1 million each. So not great for warriors.
Boo!
Because I mean, you can reduce physical damage, and it's got a 2-minute cooldown. Although the cooldown is reduced by 1 second for every time you suffer a melee attack. So
Interesting.
It's an interesting design trinket. I don't really know who it's going for,
yeah.
because I mean, most tanks are still really good against physical damage. I mean, even Brewmaster would be the only one I'd say to go after. But even Demon Hunter's got every tank spec, with the exception of Blood Death Knight, has a on use physical damage reduction.
Yeah, but it also pays to have another one, you know?
Yeah. I mean, then that's true. So I guess it just seems to me that if this was magic damage, it would be more interesting to me, because that would help fill the whole. You got your warriors and your Blood Death Knights, and your Demon Hunters, who kind of all tend to start taking more damage
Yeah, I agree.
Those types of abilities.
I agree. It would be better if it was magic damage. It's a shame.
Yeah, but those are our 3 trinkets from that boss. So this one will be a bonus roll if you want any of those. It's interesting seeing a lot of these double effect type trinkets, like, oh, here's an on use and a just equip chance on attack or whatever. So
Yeah,
they're getting interesting.
yeah. It's, I don't know. Personally, it's the way I've always worked with trinkets is like, if I get them, I never trade them. If I don't have one, I never trade them because I'm just like, I'm going to sim this and I'm going to see how this works out in use, and see if this is something that benefits my playstyle or what. And so as far as the warrior trinket goes, though, I highly doubt that, especially with the set bonuses being what they are and Antorus.
Well, and we still have some amazing trinkets to talk about as
that's right.
as the night goes on. So
continuing on, the next boss we're looking at here is going to be Varimathras. He's a Dreadlord guy who we've all met before. And he was the one, if you don't know, who was serving under the Dark Lady herself, Sylvanas. And he has seen better days. He is beat the fuck up. One of his wings is pretty fucked up, and he's got chains. And we're gonna interrupt his torture session to hang out with him and kick his ass. Basically, he has some interesting dialogue lines that were data mined from a long time ago. Anyways, they're data mined, and he basically talks about how we believed that Sylvanas was appointed by the Loa, but he's saying that like it wasn't the Loa. But
yeah, but his whole story arc is that he's he betrays the Legion to do an alliance with Sylvanas, then betrays her.
Yeah,
gets defeated, and now he's tortured for all time. So I don't know. Like the whole thing that the other big common theme with this expansion is you don't want to trust the Legion, you don't want to trust the old gods.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me to look at what Blizzard does with Dreadlords as far as their mechanics go, and compare that stuff to like what they do with Death Knights, because looking at Tichondrius, he had the plague abilities and stuff, and he had the Shadow of Night and whatnot. But like, and to me, like the plague idea kind of goes to Death Knights, and their spreading of the plague and whatnot. Varimathras has blood abilities. He's like the vampire, basically. And that's interesting to me. And this is going to me, from what I can tell about this fight, it seems like it's going to be very similar to the dungeon fight from Wrath of the Lich King in Old Kingdom, which was the Blood Elf guy, who I cannot remember his name of, but he would basically like stare you down and then jump on you and eat you and absorb your health or whatever. And Varimathras has similar abilities, but not exactly similar, because basically you've got marked prey, and it's going to be an attack where he's going to charge you and knock you way the fuck away from everybody, but you're going to be taking a bunch of damage. So if you get knocked out of range of your healers, you're going to die. And then the other one is going to be much like the plague ability from Nighthold, Necrotic Embrace. All in all, I see this guy being a pain in the dick, but I also, it looks like positioning is going to be the key factor on this fight. Once you see the layout of the room, being able to position yourselves appropriately to not spread that dot everywhere.
Well, the other thing is, it seems like with this Torments of the Shivara, that the room you fight in has, I'm going to guess, rotating abilities. So you've got Torment of Flames that deals fire damage to all players every second. Torment of Shadows that deals shadow damage every second. Then for Heroic only, Torment of Fel and Frost, or Heroic and up, that also deal. So Frost obviously deals damage as well as reducing movement speed. And then Fel is stacking compared to the others. The thing that's interesting to me is how Alone in the Darkness is the ability that sounds. I'm wondering if it's going to be similar to phase the darkness phase transition on Kill Jaden, where the room goes dark, but in this case you have to be together, otherwise you're going to be taking constant damage. I'm hoping that this is not designed to go off at the same time as Necrotic Embrace is supposed to expire, because that would suck. It's like, oh, you got to be next to someone or you're going to die. Oh, if you're next to people, you're going to cause them to die. So it'll be interesting if timing's important there.
It's going to be interesting.
Or if it's going to be something where the abilities are well timed out enough and not, are actually on a timer and not on a energy based or health based thing. And that this is stuff that I've yet to find out. Hopefully, it is on an actual timer, because if it's on damage, then it's really hard to get people to stop damage so that you can make sure two things don't go off at once. Kill Jaden was another exercise in that.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be my whole thing with raid fights, my big trouble with raid fights, and I'm sure there's other people who share this sentiment out there, that is, it is oftentimes very difficult to be able to understand the fight before you actually participate in the fight.
Yeah, even watching a video is not enough for me, because it's like I can't understand the. I don't know. I'm one of those people who learns by doing,
Same.
not by just seeing or hearing. So if I can't get my hands in there and get like
down in the dirt.
understand the matics, yeah, exactly. It's it's kind of a loss. And there's also like the factor of if you're watching a video, you're getting whatever that guy likes to focus on with his camera.
Yeah.
And so you like if it, some of them have their cameras zoomed in way far out, but you don't like. And if you don't know what. Like, I'm familiar with what transmogs our raid team uses, so I kind of know where everyone is. But if I'm watching a guide and, I don't know where your healers are because I don't know who your healers are.
Yeah, I don't know what your healers look like. Yeah.
Yep. This guy, as far as gear goes, no tier on him. I'm going to be... One thing that I'm curious about for this entire raid is if there's going to be any skippable bosses. As far as, is it going to be completely linear, or is it, and you've got again the item that lets you skip to the last couple of bosses like all the tiers have so far.
I'm sure it
or
will.
if it's going to be something where you can do them in different orders, kind of like Nighthold had. You had the option of saying do all these bosses, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if it was that way. So if you get stuck on one of these guys, you can go to the other guys first and finish farming them, and so on and so forth.
I think there are going to be bosses like that in here.
Yeah. As far as this guy's got 2 trinkets on him. You've got one of them is a healer trinket, again on use. Sear an enemy with holy light, inflicting 600,000 holy damage over 18 seconds, restoring 2,600 mana each time it deals damage. So this is your mana trinket. If you're struggling with mana issues, it's got int on it. This is your go-to. Looks like I'm trying to remember. I don't have any on my character. I was going to see roughly how close this is to a mana potion. So you got Lay Torrent does 24,000 mana over 10 seconds, and you can only use that roughly really once during the fight, whereas this is every minute you can get 2,600 mana. So as long as it's okay. The fight's 3 minutes long, you can get 7,000 mana. So not as good as some other stuff.
Yeah.
The other one is a looks like a melee trinket. It's versatility on it.
Wing.
Yeah, Seeping Scourgewing. Your melee attacks have a chance to deal shadow damage to the target. If there are no other enemies within it, it deals an additional
250,000.
Yep. So it's the numbers are going to vary based on your spec and all that. Since I'm surprised, but because yours are reading for the same, I'm assuming you're looking at the heroic one as well.
Yep.
So yeah, mine says 171,000 damage. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm seeing 467 and then 250,000 for the two numbers.
So that one will be, I don't know. so far, all of the trinkets that have been like this that deal additional damage on melee haven't stacked up as well for most classes.
Yeah, that's one of my things is
in general been fairly weak because of I guess just pure stats scale better.
Yeah. One of the things that I see in this that I like is, so I've been using Terror from Below in Beast Mastery on my Hunter, and in Survival, this looks like it could be potentially like my Terror from Below, where because Terror from Below busts out 800,000 damage every nature.
Yeah, but Terror from Below is also AoE, whereas this one is pure single target.
That's true. Well, yeah, that's
true. Yeah,
but that's my thing is like I wanted a good single target trinket, for survival, and I feel like this could be it. But it also could be garbage,
I mean, the other problem is it's just versatility as your stat on it. So
that's a good stat for me.
That's good. That's good for survival. It's a mediocre stat for most other specs, though. It's just like, hey, it's good. You want it, but there are usually better stats for you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if I had the choice between this and a trinket that had main stat, I'd take the trinket with main, for me, agility on it instead.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I feel like for these kind of trinkets, there needs to be more that have main stat. Honestly,
yeah, no, because right now, like for my my Windwalkers, all I run is 2 main stat trinkets because all the other ones that I use just don't do as well. They've got cool effects, but not really worth it.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next boss.
The Coven of Shavara. So this fight is basically
there are some cool models here, just to say.
Sure. This fight is going to be very much, from what I can tell, it is a council style fight. More than it is. So I believe it's going to be we take on 2 at a time, and then they switch. And I believe the way it starts off is you're starting off with the Mother of Flames, the Mother of Night, and then they switch to... Now, here's my thing. I can't tell, looking at this, because I haven't seen a video of it, and I was hoping to see some kind of phase thing, but it doesn't seem to have that in the overview anyways. But... from what I can tell, this is going to be you start with the Mother of Flames, Mother of Night, and then you get Mother of Gloom, Mother of the Cosmos. Or
based on what I'm reading, it does seem like there are only going to be 2 up because the main tank mechanic is when the 2 mothers are near each other, their damage taken is reduced by 99%. So no cleaving.
Right. Yeah, Blizzard.
But at the same time, they do share health.
Right.
So.
Unless Blizzard wants you to get back out the old 4 tanks from, maybe even 8 tanks from Naxxramas, then I doubt there will be more than 2 up at a time. But what we could also see is the Mother of the Cosmos being active the entire time, and then it's switching like you had with Ysera in the Dragons of Emerald Nightmare, where you have to switch out the other 2, like you. Let me see. Let me look at these mechanics here and see what... Yeah. So it looks like it's not that. It looks like this is just going to be you face 2 at a time. And I'm betting at...
Is it just me, or I'm only seeing 3 of the... In the dungeon guide, I'm only seeing 3 of them, and the 4th one missing. So is that 4th one up, maybe?
Is the 4th one what?
Because I see Nora, Asara, Dima, but I don't actually see... the Mother of the Cosmos, yeah. So I'm wondering if she's always up and just general tank and spank positioning.
Could be. It's
and the other ones swap out.
Right. It would also be interesting. Like, we see the full model and everything, but it would also be interesting if, say, Thurea was like she's actually way, way bigger than this, and maybe like standing in a puddle, and then the other 2, and then you have 2 of the other ones at a time, and maybe you have to figure out ways to like kind of delegate your damage out, so that way you're not like dealing with one of the Shivaras too long, but you still have to be DPSing down through Rhea throughout the entire fight while she just does casting mechanics out to everybody.
Yeah.
Kind of like the background boss, essentially.
You've also got these things, which I'm assuming is they're actively trying to torture the Titans. So you've got each of these Titans, Amantul, Golganeth, Khazgaroth, and Norganon.
Yes, they are trying to
Each
coax
having
the
their
Titans.
abilities. So, it's when his when each of them their torment is as it deals damage of a different type. So it's I'm interested to see how this works. Is it that each of the sisters has a Titan in a corner, tormenting them?
Interesting. Are we about to walk into a strip club? These
I mean-
Shavars are just trying to tempt the Titans into the dark side?
Yep.
Oh,
Well,
man.
apparently the Titans are all masochists. They enjoy the pain.
Antorus the Burning. No, we're not going there. We're not going there.
Anyway, let's talk loot. This fight has your shoulder tier piece, as well as again 3 trinkets. So looking at it, we've got a healing trinket on this. This one looks interesting to me. It's mastery trinket. Your healing effects have a chance to apply a charge of High Father's timekeeping that lasts a minute with a max of 5 charges. When an ally's health drops below 50%, the High Father's timekeeping is consumed to instantly heal them for a certain amount per charge. That is a cool, essentially, good way to keep people up if you've got a lot of AoE heals, I'm guessing. Since it's
sounds like
applying this to the person and the buff lasts a minute, that seems like it's going to be one of, as long as the numbers fit in, and I don't know what they look like, but that sounds like a really good trinket to me.
Yeah.
The other one we've got is a tank trinket, agility or strength. So this is the one that I'm talking about, is probably going to be your go-to, because although it is a armor increased trinket,
It still could be good.
but it also does a decent amount of damage and has a slow on it. So it'll be an interesting, fun little trinket to play around with. I'd probably take it just because of the main stat on it.
I'm definitely interested.
And then there's one other trinket. It is a ranged spell or a spellcaster's trinket. This one's got intellect on it. It's a non-on use, so it's equip only. Your damaging spells have a chance to conjure 6 shadow blades. After 2 seconds, the swords begin launching forward, dealing shadow damage to the first enemy in their path, and increased damage from subsequent shadow blades by 10% for 3 seconds, up to 50%. So, assuming that if I'm reading this right, dot specs are going to love this trinket.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because I mean, you've got more and more chances to proc, so you can get the full benefit of the additional shadow blades. That one would be one for your shadow priest, your affliction locks, maybe even your demonology locks, just because your pets kind of operate as a I can't think of, your pets operate as a dot. There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
That'll be... I don't know. I don't know if that'll be really viable for hunters. Like, thinking about that.
Your auto attacks are kind of operating similar to a dot, always going off.
That's true. I don't know. That's one of the ones I definitely have to get and play with.
And it depends. It really depends on its procs per minute. Like, how often are you going to get? Is the internal cooldown high enough to where a dot spec is not going to benefit any more than just a normal direct damage dealing spec? I don't know. Yeah. Wait till the sims start happening.
That's right. Wait until you can start.
Wait till the final numbers come out, I guess, is another.
Yeah, when you get the trinket ratings and you can see which ones are the best ones to go for. And I think
just looking at Agrimar's,
I know
the abilities. I see 2 intermissions, and intermissions we think kill Jaden.
This guy seems like he was almost as if he was designed originally to be the last boss, and then, excuse me, almost as if he was designed to be the last boss originally, and then they decided not, because this guy is a very complex fight, from what I can tell, between the different phases, the different abilities. But most importantly, I mean, you're seeing some abilities here that are hitting for 25 million pretty regularly. A lot of dots for 3.7 million. You got some big numbers going on here, which makes me think that you're going to have raid-wide soaking be a thing quite a bit on this fight. Because you have Foebreaker, Flame Rend, and then he puts up his big dot. And that's kind of this big combo he does when he reaches 100 energy. So at 100 energy, everybody has to stack. This is like, what's Harjitan's ability? That the one that where he blasts everybody in front of him. I can't remember the name of it. Whatever. That ability we all know. It's like that on steroids is what it looks like here. So he's going to be doing...
Which ability you're thinking of? The
one off Harjitan where he...
No, on Agrimar.
Oh, on Agrimar? I'm talking about his Tail-esh technique. When he reaches 100 energy, he does a devastating combo of attack alternating between Foebreaker, Flame Rend, and ending with Searing Tempest.
Yeah, but this one, unless this is wrong, it says it deals it to all in front of him, not split between them. So that sounds like you need to get out of it. For the Foebreaker part.
Oh, yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And Flame Rend is the one that divides it evenly among all players. So
that'll be the one we have to stack. So do we run out, run back in?
And that one, this one is definitely the stack one, because if not enough people get
Burning
it,
Rage.
He gets the Burning Rage. So, yeah, that's...
Run out, run in, yeah.
Yes, to run out, Foebreaker hits, run in. It knocks you away, so at least that... You're going to be out of range for the next Foebreaker. So that's going to be your tank swap as well, because the first tank's going to get knocked away as well, unless he's, and depending on how far that knockback is and how quick the abilities go off, I don't know if you'll be able to charge back in time.
Yeah, so it's looking like...
So it's probably going to split half the raid. Half the raid takes it first, half the raid takes it the second time.
Yeah. This is definitely a 3-phase fight with two intermission phases. One of them is going to be... Actually, both of them look like they're going to be pretty much add phases going on where you have to manage the adds correctly and then use them. I think to break down his shield, from what I can tell. This is a very more upon reaching him, they recombine with Tail-esh, causing Blazing Eruption. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes and no is how that works out.
This one's got the intermissions... dodging. I don't know if he's moving around, because it says if you touch the shield, you'll take a lot of damage and it'll knock you away. So, and then you've also got the meteor showers to deal with. So don't soak those.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know you're used to soaking meteors, but not this time.
Hopefully they use
don't use the same graphic blizzard,
but
please.
From what it looks like, the first, second, and third phases aren't that different from each other. It almost looks like it's just going to be alternating between two phases.
Yeah,
they all look
with like
very
intermission.
Similar.
Yeah,
but with that, you can expect that it's going to be happening different in each phase. You know, kind of like what you saw with Kill Jaden, where you had the combination of abilities, which that's what really makes me worry about this fight, is that you could end up seeing the combination of the abilities becoming something really difficult to handle, and then that leading it to feel like it's just RNG.
Yeah.
Should be very frustrating for a second to last boss to have to get past RNG.
And also a boss that has your head slot for your tier.
Yeah, that would be very frustrating.
The one that's interesting for me is, you remember, you weren't really raiding DPS during Nighthold, but there was Draft of Souls.
Yes.
The keep me in place and deal a bunch of damage to the boss. Well, the tanks get their version of Draft of Souls.
Yay!
Off of Agrimar. You get Smoldering Titan Guard. It sounds a lot like the artifact ability for Warrior, except you're locked in place. But as far as visually, it's a mastery trinket. On use, channel a bulwark of flames that absorbs 21 million damage for 3 seconds.
For how long?
Is what I'm reading on that. For 3 seconds. So it's essentially a one-shot soak.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
and when it expires, it unleashes waves of flame. So I mean that one shot absorption. Yes, you can't move or use abilities during it. I'm curious if you can cancel it or if you actually have to stand still for the whole 3 seconds. But
Even
absorbing
still,
21 million
yeah,
damage over 3 seconds is still really strong.
worth the
Any damage, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you make sure you're well positioned ahead of time,
yeah.
you should be fine.
One of the trinkets I'm very excited about this boss is Gorshalak's Legacy. This trinket, it's looking like it's haste is the stat on it, but your melee attacks have a chance to grant an Echo of Gorshalak on reaching 15 applications. You lash out with a devastating combination of attacks, critically striking enemies in 15-yard cone in front of you for 2.7 million fire damage. Is what I'm saying on mine.
This
Holy
one,
shit, that's a lot of damage
saying,
come out of a
I'm
trinket.
right now in tank spec, and it's reading as 1.8. So this one is one of the few times where it actually reads as, hey, this one may be better than a main stat trinket. Like
Right.
the other ones, the damage was so minimal, but this actually looks really good.
Yeah, and if my thing is, it does seem like it's going to have a lot of like build up to it because you have a chance to get one of 15 applications, and you have to get to 15 applications for this trinket to do its big hit. But to
Now,
me,
if I'm reading that right, though, it's going, and there have been some trinkets like this that their abilities have no time on them. They will just stack up infinite. Like they'll stack up, and you don't have to worry. It may be that you end the fight with 14 stacks, and you get your 15th on the next fight.
right, the stacks won't
Because
disappear
they don't.
on you.
Yeah, exactly. Now I don't know if these stacks are on yourself or on them. That's going to be the deciding factor. The trinkets that I'm thinking of, the stacks go on your own self, like the Cradle of Anguish, which stacks up out of combat, which is great. But yeah, those are really the only two trinkets from there. There haven't really been. There are a lot of unused trinkets from this raid so far.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably it for the trinkets that come out of this raid, right? There's probably no more.
Yeah, there's only a couple pretty okay trinkets coming
Okay.
from Argus the Unmaker. He just seems kind of like a boring boss. He's only got
He
4
does.
phases.
Yeah,
we
there's-
haven't had a 4-phase boss in
There's no
ever,
unique no unique mechanics that we have to worry about. Nothing we've seen it all before. Just the typical dying being a part of a fight. This actually let's Argus the Unmaker. This fight looks awesome. I'm very much looking forward to this fight because there's something new, like with Kil'jaeden, there's something new, and that was something I definitely looked forward to on Kil'jaeden, was seeing the darkness phase. With Argus, basically this fight's going to go between a straight up deal with some mechanics in the beginning, dodge this and that. There's probably a tanking mechanic, and then second phase you have some ads you have to deal with, and you got to make sure you deal with them quickly, while he's also casting mechanics. Third phase will be you have to deal with the mechanics, and I think, let me see if it's in here, it should be the Arcane Masters, yeah. So you're going to have to deal with that as well as ads, from what I can tell. Then, after the third phase, which will end at, let me see, stage 4 begins at, it doesn't say. So after the third phase ends, he's going to do this amazing animation where everybody dies, and there's no way to avoid it. You can't bubble through it. You can't, battle res anybody. You're screwed. You can't reincarnating would be a bad idea because
the players with Reap Soul.
Right.
So if you somehow didn't get it, you can live through it.
You're not gonna be able to avoid it. Like it's from what I can tell, it is completely set up for the entire raid to die, and for a good reason, because death is a part of Phase 4's mechanic. So basically, the way this works out is everybody's gonna die, and there's gonna be a tree in the room. What's gonna happen is you're gonna run to that tree and go as a ghost. There are going to be in the death world. There are going to be little what were they? The Shahs or whatever from Mists of Pandaria, it looks like, following you around. And they're going to be corrupting the tree as well as you, from what I can tell, if you get too close to them, if they hit you. So from there, you have to go to the tree and use the tree to resurrect. The thing is the more you resurrect, the more you corrupt the tree. And I believe there is something where where your healers will have to cleanse and heal the tree throughout the fight to try to, or I think it's just straight up healing the tree. The more you heal the tree, the more you reses you get out of it. So that's a really cool mechanic. But there's one point where I believe the tree will die or get corrupted, and you won't be able to use the tree anymore in the fight. So you have a limited number of extra reses, but that tells you something about how much unavoidable damage is going to be going out throughout the fourth phase of this fight. And what's really cool, because this is, Agrimar and Argus are both Titans, we are going to be getting help from other Titans to fight these guys. And I believe at the end of this, we will see a certain big bad Titan show up. And that's kind of, this to me is one reason I'm just extremely excited about this raid now and the final boss specifically, aside from just the fight, is what this means for the lore, because this is putting a wrap on one of the longest lore storylines in a video game probably ever. I mean, the story of the Legion has been happening for a long time, and for it to kind of come to a head and be essentially over after this is going to be interesting, So I'm very excited to see how this all is going to end, and it looks like it's going to be going out with a big bang on this boss fight. I mean, it looks like Blizzard has really pulled out all the stops on this.
I think my favorite ability description from the fight is "end of all things."
Yeah,
Argus ends creation, killing everything.
Yep.
So if someone doesn't use their interrupt, it's their fault that Azeroth and everything in the world is dead. Congratulations, you've killed us all.
I really like in the top right corner of it in the adventure guide, it just says deadly, important, interruptible. End of all things is deadly and important. I would have never guessed by the name.
Now, as we were joking about earlier, this is the fight that everyone is going to want to farm. It doesn't get drop tier, but it drops some of the most amazing trinkets.
Oh my lord, does it?
Well, let's start with the big one in the room, and that's Aman'Thul's Vision. It is a legendary trinket. Starts at item level 1000, or it is not a Legion legendary. Therefore, you can equip it in addition to 2 Legion legendaries. It is essentially unstable Arcana Crystal, but a huge amount of stats. You're getting. For me, I'm seeing 1400 crit, haste, versatility, mastery. Then it's got a on hit chance that your spells and abilities have a chance to grant you 2200 speed, avoidance, and leech for 12 seconds. And this is a part that works with a lot of the fights. I know, and definitely Argus and Maker, but I'm assuming it's going to happen on some other fights during the raid as well. Aman'Thul's Grandeur, which is when they're empowered by the Pantheon, you get your main stat is increased by 6700 for 15 seconds. There is a version of this trinket that has every class has one, or every spec has one that has, there's a strength one, intellect one, a agility one. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Now this is a unique equipped Path of the Titans. So your choice is to take this legendary one, which I'm going to guess has a very low drop rate, but considering this is last raid tier, and although Blizzard has little news today, in an interview they said their goal is to have beta out early next year for Battle for Azeroth and release before the end of 2018.
Nice.
So that was an interview did confirm that's their goal. Now, Blizzard usually doesn't give dates without a reason, but at the same time, who knows if they'll make it. Now, as I said, Path of the Titans is a unique equipped thing. So as a result, there are different trinkets that you can use instead of this one. These all start at 940 eye level. But the boss also drops something called Pantheon's Blessing, which is I think it's a guaranteed drop based on how they said it's a one-time once a week, you can increase the Path of the Titans trinket level by 5 item levels, up to 1,000. So your other trinkets are Agramar's Conviction. This is a agility or strength trinket, tanking trinket. When you take damage, it has a chance to increase your versatility for 14 seconds. And the Pantheon effect is that you get your maximum health is increased by, for me, 1.6 million for 15 seconds. And you're healed to full health. So whenever those Empowered by the Pantheon happens, Empowered by the Pantheons, I was thinking of something with the raid. No, Empowered by the Pantheons happens on, I think they said when any 2 abilities go off in the raid. So any 2. So if someone's raiding Ammon and Thul's Vision and they get the empowered 2200 speed avoidance leech, and you've got Conviction and you get the versatility empowered, then you're empowered by the Pantheon. I think that was what I read about it. I'll have to check. Then you've got Aeonair's Compassion. This is your healing trinket, Path of Titans trinket. Your healing effects have a chance to grow an Emerald Blossom nearby, which heals randomly injured ally for me 70,000 in a tank spec. So I'm sure it will change if I switched over to my healing spec.
Sure.
But this one's Pantheon ability is your next 4 direct healing spells grant the target a shield that prevents damage for 30 seconds.
Nice.
And it looks like a decent amount of shielding. And I'm assuming since it's your next 4 direct healing spells, it will stack.
It'd be
I
amazing.
can't confirm, but I'd be surprised if it didn't. Your next trinket is an agility trinket. Based on this one, I would say that it is a ranged one based on the discussion of it.
This is Golganeth's Vitality.
Check. No.
Okay.
That's a melee one. So
Yeah.
Your devastating abilities have a chance to create a ravaging storm, inflicting nature damage split among enemies within 6 yards over 6 seconds. The damage doesn't look that great compared to that other trinket that we just saw.
Yeah, it's true. Especially considering it's split too.
But the empowered part is pretty decent. Your auto attacks cause an explosion of lightning, dealing nature damage to all energies within 8 yards of the target, lasts 15 seconds. So when you're empowered, all of your auto attacks do damage. So the empowering part is going to be really good on that one, it seems.
I wonder... sorry, go ahead.
Next one, Khaz'goroth's Courage. Your damaging attacks have a chance to make your weapon glow hot with the fire of Khaz'goroth's Forge, causing your auto attacks to deal additional fire damage for 12 seconds. So this one is similar to Golganeth's Pantheon empowering, but it's just the base empowering. And then with the Pantheon empowering, you get critical strike, haste, mastery, or versatility increased by 4,200 for 15 seconds. And it always does whatever your highest stat is. So if you want to stack crit, and you're going to get crit every time. The last Path of Titans trinket is Norganon's Prowess, and this one's Mastery trinket. Your damaging spells have a chance to increase your intellect by 11,000 for 12 seconds. And when you're empowered by the Pantheon, you gain 6 charges of Norganon's command for 15 seconds. Your damaging spells expend a charge to inflict additional damage from a random school of magic to the target. So a lot of really cool trinkets. Everyone will have one of these by probably the first couple weeks of the raid. I mean, the goal is to have these.
At least the epic
I'll let
ones.
you talk about the trinket that you want. I'm going to quickly look up to see if I can remember how because there's a lot of blue posts talking about how the Pantheon, empowered by the Pantheon, works. But
yeah, one of my things that I'm like really curious about is kind of like the visual side of it, because my thought is that once because what you're looking at is basically when you're raiding, your entire raid is going to have one version of these equipped. I mean, Aman'Thul's Vision for sure will be equipped because of the ridiculous amount of stats that are on it. If you don't know about Aman'Thul's Vision stats, it's basically the Arcano Crystal on steroids. It's for me, it's showing 1430 crit, haste, mastery, and versatility. All of your secondary stats just get bumped up. So that's really cool. And I'm interested to see, like, whenever you do get Aman'Thul's Grandeur or Golganath's Thunderous Wrath or whatever it's all empowered by the Pantheon, uh, you're looking at your entire raid having that is the goal. And I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of, like, really impressive graphic that will be like, oh, shit, we are strong now kind of thing.
I'm thinking it's going to be something, I mean, similar graphics to probably the legendary rings.
Similar to the Legendary rings, you think?
Now, the big question for this is these are all of these trinkets are unique, so you can only have one of them equipped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be the question: if you get the legendary, are you actually going to use it? Because yes, it's going to empower your main stat, and you got all your other stats are hugely benefited, and leech and speed and avoidance, which are all pretty good for tertiary strats. But maybe you really like the auto attacks dealing more damage part. I can confirm that it is any of the. So you've got those 2 procs on all of these.
Yeah.
So if any 2 people have the primary proc,
Mm-hmm.
and you are in the Antorus raid, that's when the Empowered by the Pantheon happens. At least in current design is. So I'm sure there's something that's keeping. I'm kind of impressed of how this is going to work with Blizzard keeping track of buffs within your raid party to know who has 2, and okay, who has 1, who has another. Okay, everyone's with who has the trinket. So, and I'll be curious to see if it's something that, because those effects are only during Antorus the Boiling Throne, if the effects are going to be based on the boss rooms we're in. So we'll see something coming out of the boss room and like striking the players with Titan energy or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Some cool stuff, but it's going to definitely be, I think the biggest question everyone's going to have is if they get the vision trinket and one of the other ones, which to use.
Yeah.
Because Unstable and Arcana Crystal is still like the best for most people, and this is a straight upgrade for it. At the same time, it may be that you use Aman'Thul's Vision if you get it first, but after you upgrade the other trinket to 1,000, it's just as good, and then you'll take it. And since it's 5 eye levels each week, and I think there is only 1 item level that these things can drop at. I don't think they can Titan Forge, so 940 is what they will be at, and you can upgrade them each week. So you're talking about what is that? 12 weeks to upgrade one of those trinkets to 1,000.
It's 3 months.
Yeah. So we know the raid tiers are going to last at least that. But
yeah, easily.
And who knows? It may end up being one. Tuning wise, they need to make that faster. Now, one other thing to that's all the bosses and pretty much all the loot that we. Now we do want to still talk about tier bonus sets, but I want to make a quick note before that. With this patch coming out, we're also going to see legendaries upgrades will be going out, similar to the previous 2 tiers where you had to gather items and you got an item and upgrade. So legendaries will be able to upgrade one-time use items again. So if you've got more legendaries now, it's going to take even longer to get them all. But yeah, up to 1,000 eye level for your legendaries. So
the most alt-friendly system in the world makes its return.
Yeah, I will say though, the first time felt painful. The second time, it seemed like the drop rate was much higher on them. Maybe it was just
it's gotta be much higher.
But like it felt like I could do like 2 or 3 dungeons and already have an upgrade for one of my legendaries. And at this point, where most people have almost all theirs for their main spec, if they haven't changed classes or like me played every single spec.
The thing that bothered me about the second time around is that you could only get it out of raids and out of your chest at the end of the week for Mythic Plus, if I remember right.
No, you could get. I remember getting it off time walking.
No shit.
But I do know that it was, as far as the random dungeon, it was a day. You could get one, like the first random dungeon you did a day would give you some, but you couldn't just farm it. And that's the whole thing. It wasn't farmable. We don't know for sure. I'm assuming it's going to be the same system. Blizzard really changed many things up, but I would be more than welcome to having it be farmable to where, hey, if I really want to upgrade all my legendaries in one day, I can do it. I doubt it. And to be honest, most people know which legendaries they use most, so they'll be able to, within the first probably 2 weeks, have their 2 primary legendaries at 1,000. Now, let's talk about tier sets. I was thinking we'll go down based alphabetically in the list. So
I've just got Wowhead pulled up since they've got it all
yeah,
listed.
so Death Knight, you've played a Death Knight, so why don't you talk about those tier sets a bit?
Well, for the blood,
I'd say go through.
Well, for blood, rude ass. Ask me to do something and talk over me. No, I'm just playing. For blood, 2-piece set bonus. When a charge of bone shield is consumed, the cooldown on dancing rune weapon is reduced by 3 seconds. I like this a lot because this kind of gives dancing rune weapon easier use. You're probably looking at on average, if I remember right, dancing rune weapon is a 2-minute cooldown, maybe a minute and a half. You're probably going to look at that getting reduced to about 30 seconds per cooldown, going down to either a minute or a minute and a half cooldown. Either way, it's going to make it more viable to use regularly throughout the fight as mitigation, just general mitigation to help aid your bone shields and everything. That'll be really nice. But also your 4 pieces, when dancing rune weapon fades, your rune regeneration rate is increased by 40% for 10 seconds. This balances phenomenally with legendaries in my mind. I feel like with that rune generation rate increased by 40%, and with a lot of the rune generation we get out of certain legendaries, it's going to be really useful to be able to get more of your heals and everything as a Death Knight done. And I'm kind of excited about that. I think that's pretty solid set bonus. Not the best we've seen in this expansion, but solid.
It's confusing to me because my understanding now, I haven't played my Blood Death Knight in any raids. I just leveled up and have diddled around with it in dungeons. But from what I understood is most of your active mitigation that uses runes is Bone Shield or what is that, Marrow Strike or whatever. So you get the charge of Bone Shield, but then as far as your active mitigation, you use Runic Power. So I guess if you're getting runes faster, you can generate more Runic Power to get more out. But it feels like a complicated way to say, hey, you generate power.
No, I feel active mitigation's Bone Shield. Like not really active actually. That's passive.
Yeah, that's
mitigation.
your passive mitigation.
Yeah, that's
like your
bad.
active is to build the shield,
Heart Strike and stuff to refill your health. Honestly, is what it comes down to.
Build the blood shield from the trade off of the newer, like the pre-tomb stuff.
Yeah.
So it's odd that this one, like I always figured, dancing rune weapon was it refills your rune power, which I guess you are getting that direct benefit, but at the same time it always felt like the DPS cooldown for your Blood Death Knight to me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
like that you've got things like for Demon Hunter, you pop Metamorph if you want to. Death Knight, you pop it, okay, you can generate more and you can probably heal yourself back up again, but mostly you're just doing more damage.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not the greatest, but it's still still a solid, in my opinion, a solid set bonus for blood.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as the fucking last raid tier for warriors, is what I'm getting at. Moving on to Frost Death Knights. Howling Blast damage for 2-piece bonus. Howling Blast damage is increased by 15%, and Obliterate damage increased by 15%, and Frostbite damage increased by 15%. Overall, your damage is going up a lot. And then your 4-piece is when you deal frost damage, you have a chance to release Barrage of Icy Spikes at your target, dealing 420% times 3 frost damage. Okay. So Blizzard's all about blazing it apparently, but you're looking at quite a bit of damage on top of your damage for Frost Death Knights. I think this is a really strong set bonus personally, to be able to up your Frost Scythe, Obliterate, and Howling Blast damage by 15%, and then on top of that give you the proc for your 4-piece, which is really going to be, I think that's going to be really good. Depending on how much it procs, that's really what it always comes down to, is how much is it going to proc. I think that Frost Death Knights are still going to be in a good place with that, even compared to Unholy, whose two-piece bonus is Death Coil causes the target to take an additional 25% of the direct damage dealt over 4 seconds, and the four-piece bonus, Death Coil, has a 20% chance to deal damage a second time. That's not really exciting to me. Like, it's good. It's decent. It's, you're going to want it, but it's also not anything to get hyped, like seeing how many of your abilities are getting stronger as a Frost Death Knight,
It's not very thematic. It is a very strong tier, in my opinion, because you're increasing all of the damage you deal, and you're using Death Coil. For me, Death Coil gets used a ton just because you just kind of have space to fill.
The only part I see as the disappointing side to me is for the over 4 seconds part. If it were 6 seconds, it might be OP, but yeah, I feel like
I'm just thinking. So what is there's the talent on the 100 tier for Unholy Death Knights where you take the Valkyr instead of the Gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
That gets additional damage already from every time you use it during it. So that's just stacking up again on top of that. To me, I believe it counts as direct damage. So I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Neither of us actually main Demon Hunter or Death Knight or Demon Hunter.
Yeah,
so,
honestly.
Demon Hunter, it's as far as I can tell, it looks like Havoc has an odd bonus for tier 21.
It looks like
they want you to take Demonic.
It looks like they're trying to make I-Beam viable, is what it looks like.
And Demonic it wasn't viable for top tier rating, but it was viable for heroic because it only parsed like 5-10% lower, which that's damage loss, but a lot of people that's not going to make or break their percentages.
Well,
like,
considering
that's within a margin of error.
Yeah, my thing is like considering the fact that you have a choice of running Demonic and potentially enjoying your spec, and then running what the hell is it? Is it Nemesis? I think it is. And
no, it's Chaos Blades on that.
Chaos Blades, running Chaos Blades and then not enjoying playing Demon Hunter whatsoever because my god, it is boring.
So it looks like what the goal of this is, regardless of what spec you do, I think Demonic is going to end up being a powerful one because this tier is essentially forcing you to use on cooldown. But
I like that though, personally.
I think it'll be interesting to see the parses and comes out. I would love it if they were close to even. Maybe Demonic edging it out, but still like having Chaos Blades be there on certain fights. Because obviously I-Beam is still going to be, and Demonic is still going to be amazingly strong on AoE fights, as it always has been.
See, I think... sorry, go ahead.
It's just that Chaos Blades, if the talents have different uses, like they should... Like right now, Demon Hunter is in that place where you take this build because this is the build, and you use this build on every fight because this is the build, and that's not fun to me. Like I want to see fights that are, I want to see talents that are different for different uses. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I don't know.
No, I'm definitely with you on that. Like. But my whole thing looking at this is like, I-Beam's in a bad spot. It doesn't do enough damage. Like you can't talent to make it do enough damage to become part of your rotation. And I'm hoping that this tier bonus is going to make it so that you can use I-Beam in your rotation, that it will actually do enough single target damage to be useful in your rotation. 30%, I don't know if that's enough. I don't. And
the question is, does that 30%
be good enough?
Yeah.
With
the question is, does that 30% benefit the artifact ability that does the dot?
Yeah.
And if it does, then you're talking a better percentage. Now the Vengeance, this one's just making your active mitigation better, in addition to putting your big cooldown of Metamorphosis, reducing the cooldown by 5 seconds every time you parry. Yep. And you can get, I can tend to run like 75% uptime on Demon Spikes. And that's making sure I always have a charge in reserve
Yeah.
for when damage is going out. So that's just using demon spikes on keeping one charge rolling. And I think that's roughly 70-60% uptime. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
It's enough. It's like I've always viewed Demon Hunter taking very similar to the way I view Prot Warrior tanking, which is that you've got your shield block / spikes or whatever the fuck. You've got that correlation going on, and then obviously your last stand is your metamorphosis, and then you've got your various other mitigations and your damage output. But to see this, so like when I read this in Prot Warrior Minds, it's like, oh, well, shield block is active, your parry chances increase by additional 5%. Cool. When you parry an attack, or block an attack, your cooldown of metamorphosis is reduced, or of last stand is reduced by 5 seconds. Like, that's how I think about it. I'm like, that's a solid tier piece. Like that would work well. And that works, to me, that works well for Demon Hunters, It works into the class really well. And I think it's probably, to me, it's a very rewarding set bonus to have. If it's better than Tomb of Sargeras' set bonus, I don't know, because I never took the time to really give a shit about those set bonuses. But it's something I would definitely be interested in having for both DPS, having the tier set for both DPS and tanking. But I could definitely see why.
It'll be interesting to see if that'll cause people to take Razor Spikes, the talent, more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'll be wanting to keep Demon Spikes up as much as possible.
Yeah. And it also, like, that pairs well. I have the legendary pants that give you 3 charges of Demon Spikes, and I think that pairs well with those pants too. There's legendaries that works well with. I think that, tanking Demon Hunters are going to be glad about these tier bonuses. DPS Demon Hunters couldn't care less, I think, would be my guess. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out when the raid does come out. Looking ahead to Druids, we're going to be looking at the balance set first here. 2-piece bonus increases the damage of Starfall by 10% and Star Surge by 10%. Solid. When you cast Star Surge, this is the 4-piece. When you cast Star Surge, the damage of your Moonfire and Sunfire spells is increased by 10% for 4 seconds. So basically, Moonfire spam, baby. It's all about that Moonfire spam for 4 seconds. Do as much as you can. So yeah, the rotation is going to be it's
different. It's definitely changing.
Buffing overall.
It may end up being, because your average internal global cooldown is seconds. I think it's produced by haste, but you're roughly going to be able to get probably 2 Moonfires and a Sunfire depending on your latency. I would say that what you're going to end up doing is Star Surge, Moonfire, Sunfire, so you can buff them and get that better damage out up front, and that'll be when you refresh. So I think it'll make it you're no longer going to be watching your timers so much, your debuff timers, to see when to refresh. You're going to, I use Star Surge, it's time for me to Moonfire and Sunfire.
Yeah. We are we're starting to run short on time, so we're probably not going to go as in depth on all of the specs because there's tons of them.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about some of our favorites. We will definitely just so everybody knows, we are going to go over all of the set bonuses. We just probably won't talk as heavily about them as we have been so far. But let's move on to the Feral Druids 2-piece and 4-piece bonuses. Faye, you want to do that since you've been playing Feral?
Yeah. A little bit. When Rip deals damage, there's a 10% chance for it to deal again. Solid thing. You're always keeping Rip up 100% of the time, so it's not just flat damage increase. When Rip deals damage, you have a 4% chance to cause your next Ferocious consume no points and count it as if you spent the maximum amount of energy. That's, again, solid damage right up front. The only question is, does it benefit from the double damage part of the tier 20? The 2-piece tier bonus, and I assume it does. Not much to say about that. I mean, you're increasing ability. That's great. The Guardian ones, again, since I've been playing Bear lately, when Gore is consumed, the cooldown of Barkskin is reduced by 1 second. And when Barkskin fades, all healing done to you is increased by 10% for 20 seconds. 4-piece is it's great for the raid composition. I love the 2-piece, though. The ability for me to use pretty much your go-to for magic damage reduction ever since they removed Mark Versal, it's great. going on. Resto. This one is definitely an improvement from tier 20.
Yes, big time.
Our friend Tar may disagree. So I'm just gonna say it seems good. Ysera's gift now applies Dreamer to the target, healing them 100% spell power over 8 seconds. So your passive dot or your passive hot applies an actual hot now, or your passive heal does. And when you cast Wild Growth, you have a 100% chance to cause Ysera's gift to heal the target for more frequently for 10 seconds. I think the only complaint a lot of people have had is how little this lasts on the hot lasts on targets, and that you're not going to really get the benefit of Wild Growth. So we'll see what happens there. I'll let you talk about Hunter since you've been playing one.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be maining Hunter and Antorus. So, Beast Mastery, 2-piece bonus, kill command damage increased by 10%. Great. You always want more kill command damage. The 4-piece is when you use kill command, the cooldown on aspect of the wild is reduced by 2 seconds. That's phenomenal. I am very excited about that, because that will probably give you a better chance of lining up your aspect of the wilds with your bestial S more often. Moving on to Marksman, 2-piece bonus, your focus generating attacks deal 30% more damage and generate 25% more focus. So Arcane Shot's going to deal more damage. That's exciting. Mark Shot has a 30% chance as the 4-piece to fire up to 3 additional targets hit by marked shot in additional time. Let me read that again. Marked shot has a 30% chance to fire at up to 3 additional targets hit by marked shot in additional time. So basically, you're looking at double damage on up to 3 targets. That's pretty cool for marked shot. It's solid.
It's weird. It's an odd thing though.
It is
how Marksman plays right just feels wrong to me.
I know, but it's this makes you stronger is what it really just spells out, is like, you're going to do more damage, and that's really how DPS should work. Survival, this is probably one I'll probably talk about here. Flanking Strike has 50% chance to increase the critical strike chance of your next Raptor Strike by 100% of the critical and the critical strike damage of Raptor Strike by 50% within the next 20 seconds. So you're looking at your Flanking Strike having a 1 in 2 chance to increase the critical chance of your Raptor Strike, which is great, but on top of that, you're going to be increasing the damage Raptor Strike does for the next 20 seconds, so you're giving yourself a great fucking buff. And I'm excited by this, because basically this adjusts the rotation to where it's like, you're opening up, getting your Mognathul's up, and then you're hitting him with Flanking Strike until you get the proc, essentially, and then you can just lay into him with those Raptor Strikes. This is a buff for the rotation, and I think that we'll see Survival Hunters being able to keep up more with Beast Mastery Hunters once they have their 2-piece. But also with the 4-piece, each cast of Mongoose Bite increases the damage of your next Raptor Strike by 20%, stacks up to 6 times. So you're looking at your Raptor Strike damage going up to 120% more damage, which is awesome, but you'll probably not get there. You'd probably average having around 3 to 5 stacks up, I would imagine, because of keeping Mognathul up. But this also, both of these, what I really like about this is that both of these are really like being like, okay, we recognize how the rotation works, and this is what is going to make your rotation stronger, is these set bonuses. And I'm really happy about that, because if you remember in Tomb of Sargeras, anybody who played Survival, all 3 of you, the tier set was basically like, if you've got Lacerate up on a target, it lasts longer, and you deal more damage with Mongoose Bite, 10% more damage. That's nothing really to get excited about to me. This, with the 50% proc and the 100% crit, which, keep in mind, that's 100% crit with 50% additional crit damage for 20 seconds. Like that is going to be huge. That's going to be awesome damage. I'm really excited about that. This is going to make Survival a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. So that's Hunters. Moving on to Mages. We'll start with Arcane, which is my boy Hambones. Each arcane charge you spend increases the damage dealt by 4% for 8 seconds. So that's that's each one you spend. That seems counterintuitive to the spec design, in my opinion. you want to keep those stored to be able to do damage. And when you generate an arcane charge, you have an 8% chance to increase your haste by 20% for 6 seconds as the 4-piece. So not only is this counterintuitive to the rotation, this is counterintuitive to the spec. Or this is counterintuitive to itself. Because you're looking at one of them being like, here's an 8% chance to increase your haste when you generate one. Here's your damage dealt by 4% for 8 seconds for every one you spend. And it's... So this whole thing works against your spec because you do damage by having arcane charges up as an arcane mage and making your mana last as long as you can.
It seems to me what they're trying to do is because of how arcane works, like where you've got your conserve phase, your build phase, and then your dump phase.
Yeah.
It feels like they're trying to even out your conserve phase where you're not trying to build arcane charges. Kind of keep them low so you're not wasting all your mana between your arcane power times. So it feels more like it seems counterintuitive to your burst phase, but it seems like it does fit fairly well with bringing up your lowest part. So the floor of your damage is going to go up with this.
The problem I have is that you can say that, but what this actually translates into is running out of mana faster if you get your haste proc. Because you start casting 20% faster, and lo and behold, you're up to 4 stacks really fast, and yeah, sure, you got there, great, but like, the thing is this fucks with your evocate timer. What's that?
It may end up being that your conserve phase becomes Arcane Blast, Arcane Barrage, Arcane Blast, Arcane Barrage. You're just using each charge as you go into. And that would be I would say that would feel smoother for some people. I will say fire is one that it's interesting. 2-piece increases duration of combustion. I've been playing a lot of fire. That's just straight up more damage because that you're going to get at least probably 1 or 2 Pyroblasts out of that because of how you play the spec. The thing that's odd to me, combustion also increases your critical strike. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Okay, this makes more sense now. When I first read that, I read it as combustion increases your critical chance by 12%. I'm like, that doesn't matter. You're always going to crit during combustion. Why would you care? But no, it increases your critical strike damage by 12%. That's insanely awesome. Good. And you want to talk Frost?
Yeah, sure. Each successive ice bolt of a flurry deals 25% more damage. That's a 2-piece. 4-piece, when you consume Brain Freeze, the damage of your next ice lance is increased by 25%. None of this means anything to me. I've only played Frost once.
Okay, so I can speak a little into this. So your usual go-to on is so you're casting. You've got a Brain proc, which is how you'll use Ice Flurry or you use Flurry. So you'll cast a Frost Bolt, Flurry immediately after it, and then usually if you Ice Lance within a short period of time, it'll always crit after Flurry. So you're getting a huge benefit from this with that 25% increase. So again, this is all about that combo window for Frost, and that's kind of cool to me. I like how that plays. Moving on to my bay of the expansion, Monk. The Brewmaster earpiece. Breath of Fire has a 100% chance to generate an additional stack of a Blizzard Brawler for each target hit. When you dodge an attack, you have a 100% chance to reset the cooldown of Breath of Fire. So, 2-piece is kind of mediocre. Your dodge is already pretty high. I mean, like my base dodge is 16% out of combat right now, and it goes up so quickly with the stacks of Elusive Brawler that and you don't keep track of them. You can't really control it. It just feels kind of meh. So I'm thinking that on a single target fight, you can maybe control it a bit better with the Fire Breath. The weirdest thing to me is this tier, the 4-piece completely invalidates Legendary. Because for Brewmaster, there is the what is it called? I can't remember.
I have no idea. I've never really played Brewmaster.
Yeah,
you're on your own, buddy.
give me a second to look it up. I can't remember what it's called. Essentially, there you go. Lost Tunic, Salasala Beams, Lost Tunic. When you use Cake Smash, you reset the cooldown on Breath of Fire. So you can't even if you have 4-piece, you can't wear that.
Shit.
Because why would you? You're good when you dodge, and you will dodge eventually. Like monk dodges a decent amount of all the attacks that are supposed to hit them. So you're going to be resetting Breath of Fire, maybe not as reliably, but I don't see you using this legendary with this 4-piece. Mistweaver, when Gust of Mist heals a target, they have a 100% chance to gain a hot that heals them for 228% spell power over 12 seconds. Seems pretty good. When you cast Renewing Mist, it will heal everyone who has Tranquil Mist up. So this is again reinforcing you're all as Mistweaver, and which is weird to me because of the passive, but whatever.
Yeah.
Windwalker, which is what I'll most likely be maining unless I need to fill other roles. This is interesting because all throughout Tomb we've been running 2-piece tier 19, 4-piece tier 20, which have now been nerfed to the ground. It's still really good, but it's broken completely. It used to feel really smooth, now it doesn't. This new tier set's going to feel even weirder for monks. When you gain a blackout effect, which is a free blackout kick, it'll increase the damage of that blackout kick by 150%. When you consume it, you generate only 10% chance to generate chi. So they went from having this be a 100% chance to now a 10%, which is even worse. Or already the spec is over generating chi, and now it's just okay. Now your 4-piece is useless. So I probably unless this changes by the time it goes live, I probably won't even bother with a 4-piece.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing. We were hoping they would change that, but we still have 2 weeks. Fingers crossed.
I can hope.
Paladin.
You go ahead.
All right. For first, we got Holy Flashlight and Holy Light. It's an additional healing to your solid for your tank healing and off tank healing. I'm assuming that's also going to. It's only your Beacon of Light, so it's not going to benefit if talent lets you have out 2 beacons. It'll only go on the primary one. 4-piece Holy Shock has a 30% chance to increase critical healing of your Flashlight, Holy Light, and Light of the Dawn for 10 seconds. So you keep track of that buff, and your Holy Shocks are going to probably be making your other heals way stronger, especially your AoE. Tier 21 Protection Paladin, 2-piece. When you gain a Vinegar Shield, increases your block chance by 10%. So that's interesting that it's just, I guess, a flat passive that you're always going to have 10% more block chance, if I'm reading that right. Yeah. Unless I read that.
Well, I mean, it's whenever you get Vindicator Shield, it's basically a buff to Vindicator Shield to increase your block.
Yeah.
But
and then when you're not affected by Shielded Righteous, the effective Vindicator Shield is increased by 100%. See, that's what I'm thinking. It's been a while. I need to jump on my.
This can only happen once every 1 second. Huh. Weird.
Yeah. So I thought it's because the way it reads is you gain Vindicator.
Yeah.
Increasing your block chance. So you've got a passive increase in block when you use Shielded Righteousness. When you're not using Shielded Righteousness, it's increased. Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen how it plays out, but I'll probably play around with it a bit.
Yeah.
Retribution, interesting. Again, really harping on they're really like driving home the point. This is how the spec's supposed to be played.
Yeah.
Judgment damage increased by 60%. When you use Judgment, the cost of your next Holy Power spending ability is reduced by 1. So it just makes your Judgment windows a lot stronger now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to take this one as well since I've played Priest most of Tomb. But Discipline Priest, 2-piece reduces the recharge time of Power Radiance by 3 seconds. And 4-piece, when you cast Power Word Radiance, the damage of your next penance is increased by 30%. This is going to make their AoE heals strong, but it's also kind of sucks because Radiance is a high mana spell, and Discipline already has a problem with mana. So it's going to be you'll always be able to use Radiance when you want to. The question is, should you because of mana? It's an interesting tier. I think I prefer it over the current one because the current one seems to have such a low proc rate. But we'll see. Holy 2-piece Prayer of Healing increases the healing done by your next Flash Heal, Binding Heal, or Heal by 60%. 4-piece, your Flash Heal, Binding Heal, or Heal spells increase the healing amount of your next Prayer of Healing spell by 30%. So effectively, this is 2-piece. If you use your AoE heal, your single target heals are better. And then 4 pieces, you use your single target heals and your AoE is better. I think a lot of people will start taking Binding Heal over Piety probably because of this, because Binding Heal is already insanely strong, and having it incorporated in with the tier 21 bonuses will help a lot. And it's also going to benefit your Serenity and other holy words. Lastly, Shadow Priest. You've got Mind Flay and Mind Blast critical strike bonus damage is increased by 50% for the 2-piece, and 4-piece. Each stack of Void Form increases the critical strike chance of Mind Flay, Void Bolt, and Mind Blast by 1%. So that'll be strong. It feels a little bit weaker than Tier 20, where Tier 20 let you stay in Void Form for a very long time. I still think it's probably strong.
All right.
I'll let you cover Rogue.
Yeah, moving on to Rogues. When you use Venom, this is Assassination, 2-piece. When you use Venom, your deadly and wound poisons have 15% increased chance to critically strike for 6 seconds, and the 4-piece, when your deadly or wound poisons critically strike the target, you have a chance to gain 4 energy, which just generally increases your output. It's good stuff. Outlaw, extra attacks, 2-piece extra attacks from Saber Slash increase the damage of your next run through by 5%, stacking up to 4 times. That is a solid 2-piece. 4-piece run through has a 12% chance to grant you a random effect from Roll the Bones that you don't already have active for 10 seconds. That's, to me, is a very exciting set bonus, and I think it'd be fun to play with on Outlaw. Subtly, for 2-piece bonus, each combo point spent reduces the cooldown of Symbols of Death by 2 seconds. 4-piece Gloom Blade, Backstab, and Shadow Strike now have a 5% chance to grant you Shadow Gestures, causing your next finishing move to refund 100% of the combo points spent when used. So
yeah, that's really strong.
That's gonna be good. The most important thing that Rogues need to know is that their fucking set is gorgeous. Go get it. Enjoy the hat. I'm jealous, you lucky bastards. Moving on to Shaman. Elemental, 2-piece bonus. Lava Burst increases the damage of your next Earth Shock or Earthquake or Ice Fury or Frost Shock by 20%. So you're getting a little Roll the Bones fun going on in Elemental, it looks
just
like.
a quick interjection here. For a brief period, I was maining Elemental Shaman, and it's so nice to see a set bonus that actually looks like it's going to increase direct damage and not kind of dance around the...
Yeah, 4-piece Earth Shock and Frost Shock have a 15% chance to cause elemental overload. So, those are...
Double strike.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good. Enhancement, 2-piece bonus. Casting Storm Strike has a 15% chance to increase the damage of your next Rock Biter by 100%. 4-piece bonus, Rock Biter causes the target to take 10% increased fire and nature damage from your attacks for 4.5 seconds. Welcome back to the top, Strimple. Restoration, 2-piece bonus. When you cast Healing Rain, up to 6 allies within its area are immediately healed for 225% spell power. Okay, that's good. 4-piece bonus, Healing Wave and Healing Surge. Casts have 100% chance to heal a player standing in your healing range for 40% of the amount. I'm not very excited about either of these.
Yeah, both of these seem to be, it'll benefit you if you've got a decent amount of melee.
Yeah.
That's all I'm reading
It's
as.
really,
like,
so they're
if
becoming melee
if you got
healers.
a solid melee group, there you go. I don't know. It's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and... do you want Warlock so I can take Warrior, or you just want me to finish
I'll
it
do
up?
Warlock real quick. So, Affliction, 2-piece. Agony deals damage. There's an 8% chance to increase the duration of Unstable Affliction on the target by 2 seconds. Insanely strong. 4-piece, when you cast Unstable Affliction or Seed of Corruption, all targets within 60 yards suffering from your Agony take 10% increased damage from your Corruption, Siphon Life, Agony.
And
also really strong.
Yeah, and 6-piece set bonus, you're getting Shadow Bolt back. Just kidding. Sorry, Affliction Locks.
There's Affliction's already got enough to it.
That's true.
Demonology, 2-piece. Each soul charge you spend on Hand of Gul'dan increases the damage dealt by your next called Dreadstalkers by 4%. It's okay. when you cast Demonic Empowerment, your Dreadstalkers will immediately use Dread at 50% increased damage. This can only occur once per cast of called Dreadstalkers. This is interesting to me because no, it's interesting to me. I don't think anyone's going to play it like this.
Yeah.
But by using Dreadbite, it causes them to charge at the target. So you could effectively use save your Demonic Empowerment, which is going to be killing your damage, but as a target change thing.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I really wish they buffed I wish Demonology did more damage because it's such a fun spec in my opinion.
It's still, what's surprising is it's not lagging behind too much as far as numbers go. It's just Affliction is better on multi-target and Destruction is better single target. Yeah. Anyway, 2-piece of Destruction. Chaos Bolt increases the critical strike chance of Incinerate on the target by 20% for 8 seconds, which is making your filler even stronger. Mm-hmm. 4-piece Chaos Bolt will deal additional 12% of its strike damage, cause the target over 4 seconds. So it's adding a dot component in addition to Immolate. Also pretty strong, I'd say. Not really any cool flavor to these, just direct number increase. And now for your spec.
Yeah, Warrior, best class in the game, everybody. All right, arms. When you use Colossus Smash, please stop laughing at us. No, when you use Colossus Smash, your critical damage is increased by 10% for 8 seconds. That's solid. Mortal Strike increases. This is your 4-piece. Mortal Strike increases the damage of critical strike chance of your next Whirlwind or Slam by 15%, stacking up to 3 times. It's solid. I find that hard to get excited about personally. It could be amazing. I don't know enough about arms to be able to say if it's amazing or not. The Fury bonuses. Rampage causes your target to bleed for an additional 30% of direct damage dealt to the target over 4 seconds. And your 4 pieces, when you activate Battle Cry, the damaging of your Rampage is increased by 75% per 8 seconds. The 4 piece is fun, but frankly, this is not the help that Fury needed. It needs more, in my opinion. Both Arms and Fury do. Protection, come on, baby. While Battle Cry is active, the cooldown of Shield Slam is reduced by 100%. Damn. So what this is telling me is that when I have Battle Cry up, I just get to keep shield slamming over and 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 over, which is
imagine how many you get with that shield block up.
So good. It's so good. I'm just gonna oh my god, that's gonna be good. So Protection Warriors, everything is about to get better for Protection Warriors with that because of how much rage you can generate doing that. The 4-piece, wait. Okay, that must be a typo because it says 2-piece bonus again, but 4-piece. Blocking an attack increases the value of an existing Ignore Pain attack by attack power times 4. This can only occur once every 1 second. So basically blocking attacks and makes your Ignore Pains better. So this is Blizzard leaning hard into the Ignore Pain. All of this is because of where all that rage you're building is generally going to go as a Protection Warrior is to just feed your Ignore Pain so that you don't die to the next cast. And yeah, that's solid. I'm much happier with these set bonuses than I was with the Tomb of Sargeras set bonuses, so I'm looking forward to actually collecting tier again, which is nice. But overall, I think there's some obvious losers for these set bonuses, which sucks because you want every spec to have something to get excited about with tier, and there's definitely some obvious winners. Looking at you, Affliction Warlocks, and it's personally my favorite that I'm looking forward to is Survival Hunter because it's going to buff my rotation that I've been doing, and I like that. I like that I'll be able to get to do a lot more damage, hopefully, with that. So, but I believe that's going to be all we've got for you guys tonight. We're just at 2 hours, so we hit our quota. Everybody cheer, yay. Thank you, Fey. But to end the night, we had a request to... basically, somebody asked me, hey, what song was that you used for your intro? And it's something that I wrote a while ago with a band, and I was just like, oh, this is free. So it was definitely why I chose it. But they asked if I could play it, and so that's what we're gonna end with tonight is playing the actual song. If anybody wants to hear it, if not, just go away. So I definitely and come back next week. All right, go away and come back next week because we love you. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you guys are excited about Antorus. I hope you found some of this information and indeed opinions to be enjoyable, at least to listen to. And I hope you find our voices sexy more than anything. Now y'all think I'm sexy. But
also, Strimp should be joining us as he was supposed to this week. He should be joining us next week.
Yeah, we had he actually got arrested by the Denver Broncos, is what happened. So he wasn't able to make it. He needed to. He needed to do that, and I understand that. That's fair, Dick. That's fair. But I think that's all we got for you guys. So I am Brayole. It's been great to be with you, and I'll see you next week.
See y'all next week.
Next week. All right. Let me just. I gotta hit some buttons here, and the song will play. And I was muted this entire time, so it didn't come through. Oh, my Lord, everybody, this is going well. You know what? I'll tell you what. Next week for the song. I'll set it up so that you guys can listen to it. All right, good night, everybody.